So this is a completely unscheduled live, and there are a number of reasons for it. A couple of things. One, I'm using the Canon EOS R to do this live stream, so I am testing in a way. But more importantly, I burnt through 3 hours today troubleshooting different live stream setups because I am currently obsessed with streaming in 4K. So I thought I would take the opportunity to, come hang out with you guys. If anybody joins me, I realize it's not scheduled, so who knows if anyone is going to show up or not. But I figured I would jump on here and then maybe just share with you guys a little bit about what's going on with my Canon EOS R5 Order, and to also then talk a little bit about 8K. I don't know if you guys have noticed, I've been uploading. Hey Tyler, how's it going, man? I uploaded a few pieces of content regarding 8K, both how long it takes for you to encode 8K in a way that is going to actually work when you upload it to YouTube. It still works. How's it going, man? Thanks for stopping by. And by the way, if you guys get any audio issues, let me know, because again, I've been working on this stupid thing for way longer than I should have today. But here's the short of it. I originally had 8 Dork Productions. Thanks for joining, man. Appreciate it. I originally had a shoot planned for exactly 10 days after the launch of the Canon EOS R5. So I was stoked. I mentioned it on a couple of live streams that, hey, by the way, this is happening. So I'm going to make sure that I got permission from the client to do BTS, to run the Canon EOS R5 as a D-cam, so basically in production. Hey James, thanks for joining, man. And essentially it was going to be on set. I was going to put it, through as many different scenarios as I could that still allowed me to get my work done, but I had hired another operator so that I could jump on the R5 and essentially use it. Long story short, the client decided to move up, because of talent, to move up the shoot to next week. So now all of a sudden, my project where I was going to use the R5 and get a whole bunch of BTS and footage of real world example of using the R5 in a production shoot is overlapping with the launch of the camera. And I can't tell you how much that got under my skin today. It sent my entire day into a tailspin. And I'm beyond annoyed because all of what I thought I could do and share with all of you is now effectively in jeopardy. It's not all lost in that Canon has a lot of really, really good people on staff. Some of them are my friends. Some of them I know through Facebook. And essentially, I reached out and asked for a lot of favors across the board with everyone that I know. And my request is simple. I don't want to borrow a camera. I don't even want to, hey Christopher, I don't even want them to lend me or give me any special treatment. I want them to give me the ability on whatever the launch date is. If it's going to be the 30th, on the 30th, if it's going to be the 31st, which I think it's the 31st when they start shipping, on the 31st, for them to allow me to pay for overnight shipping to the hotel where I'm staying, so that I could at least use the Canon EOS R5 for 2 days during my production. Hey Twix, thanks for joining, man. So that's my request, and I don't know if they can actually, Canon is a gigantic organization, right? And I'm likely one of thousands, if not tens of thousands of people that ordered. So I don't know if they're going to be able to navigate through their system, identify my order, and then accommodate me. And if they do, we all benefit, because I'm going to create as much possible content as I can around this commercial shoot using the R5, so that I could share it with all of you here on YouTube. Hopefully it's educational. Hopefully it gives people real world sense of working with the camera from somebody who is not a Canon ambassador, because apparently that's a lot of people are getting criticized for that. It's just Sam. Thanks for joining. So I'm going to get to the comments here in a second. Let me just finish my story quick. I got caught up. Sorry about that, guys. But essentially, if they can, and that's what I promised them, I'm going to create content. I'm going to talk about the camera. I'm going to put it, in both a studio, run and gun scenario. I'm going to check out how the audio is in case it's different, or if it's improved from the Canon EOS R, which I don't have an issue with. Hopefully you guys aren't having audio issues, because I'm going straight into the Canon EOS R5. I'm also streaming in 4K. So if you're on a desktop, maybe you could let me know if it makes a difference, or if it's a little crispier or not. Who knows? But essentially, that's what I said. I wrote about a page-long email to Canon and asked everyone for me to be accommodated, and hopefully they can. Hopefully I get the camera either on Friday sometime or on Saturday. Even if I don't care, I'll pay for Saturday delivery. That'll give me a day and a half worth of production to actually create some content that I can share with everyone. If that works, then we're all going to reap the benefits. If it doesn't work, then I'm going to have to schedule a test shoot and treat it like a paid commercial production, so that I could then share with you guys what it is that I found. But I'll be sure to let you all know, hey, this was in fact a paid shoot, or this was me pretending to be on a commercial set and me funding the entire thing. But I'll be sure to let you guys know how that works out. There are several people out there that have the Canon EOS R5, in hand, the production versions. I don't know why none of them are actually sharing, whether it be video or stills or a combination of the two coming out of the camera in their videos. They're all sharing, hey, look at my camera, and here's the camera, and this is what I got, and what do you guys want to know? But none of them are actually going out and capturing stuff, which I don't know if that is a limitation from Canon to them, given that they let them borrow a camera prior to it launching, or if, I really don't know. I don't know what's causing that, but that would be my number one biggest question. I do think that between the R5 and the R6, the truth is I feel like you can interchange the two. That's going to lead me into what I wanted to say about 8K, right? So yesterday I posted a video, very short video, maybe 40 seconds long, and actually the gist of it is likely closer to 25 seconds, 20 seconds long, where I shot an 8K image with my 8K RED camera, and I set up my timeline to be a 2K timeline. So I didn't zoom out to get the whole frame, but I actually shot it, and it's basically a bumblebee in our garden. It looked really, it looks great, right? It looks huge. I did shoot it at 300 millimeters from about 9 feet away. But on screen, on the 2K timeline, it looks huge. And then I zoomed out just like Blackmagic did when they were talking about their 12K camera. I zoomed out to 4K so we could see how much more of the frame that is. Then I zoomed out all the way to 8K so we can see the entire frame and, with the whole overlays. And I got an interesting question in the comments that basically said, is it true or have you ever shot in 8K so that you could reframe in post? I've only owned an 8K camera for 4 years. And I've shot, I'm going to say close to 38, maybe 3,900 hours worth of 8K over the course of those 4 years. Not once did I shoot in 8K so I could reframe a 2K shot or a 1080 shot or a 4K shot. In the entire 4 years, not once, not for a YouTube video, other than yesterday's, and definitely not for a commercial production. So I thought that was really, I never realized that, right? Because one of the huge arguments for capturing in 8K is the ability to reframe or stabilize if you need to. And the truth is that I've never had to. I've never done it. It's never happened. And I started asking some of my friends who also shoot on Red if they've ever done that, and they haven't. Some did, for the wide aspect ratio reframe, but they didn't purposely shoot in 5K, 6K, or 8K so that they could zoom in and then have it fit into some other aspect ratio. So I thought that was really interesting. And I'm sure that there's somebody out there that does that, but I don't know anyone that works in the commercial space that has. And that just kind of debunks, unless somebody here in the chat, and if you do, post it once I get to the comments here, I'll start reading them. But if someone actually has shot in a higher resolution to then crop into it and deliver in a lower resolution, I guess I'd want to know, because as I mentioned, that's just something that's never happened to me. So those are the two big things that I wanted to share. And I'm going to start looking at your comments because you guys have been chatty here. So again, just want to say, hey, Tyler, thanks for joining. Steelworks Media. Hey, Steelworks, did you notice that I didn't play any dance music? Which, by the way, I did want to play a song, and it was going to be this one. It wasn't dance music, but I found that song, and I really liked it, so I queued it up. But, this was not planned, which also then meant I just jumped right in instead of doing the whole waiting 10 minutes for people to join the chat. So anyway, I remember, and I do have some classic rock-ish sounding music for the next live stream that is actually scheduled, or the next wind down. Dork Productions, Texas in the house, thanks for joining. And of course, our friend James Jackson Films, which I don't know if you guys follow James or not, but this dude puts in a lot of work and does a whole lot of content. A lot of it's live. I'm guessing some of it's pre-produced. I don't know. But James, if you don't follow him, you all need to check him out. And yeah, Tyler, it is a bummer, but hopefully some of my friends can, pull through and I can actually do something. Christopher from Norway. Wow. Thanks for joining. Really appreciate it. And I'm definitely excited about the R5 as well. Twix, what's that? What's up, man? And yeah, there will be another shoot, Steelworks, but I wanted to kind of be, I'm not going to lie, right? A little bit was ego and me wanting to get content out faster than other people. So I'm going to admit that. But, it isn't just to benefit me, right? Because I already pulled the trigger on the camera. Other people may not have. So then there is that. Let's see. I'm gonna make sure that they remember me because I walk around a lot of enemies. Okay, that's funny. I got the Ursa Mini Pro 4K used from Adorama for 1160 and paired it with Zine 35mm I got used for 1100. That's a hell of a deal. The Ursa Mini cameras, all of them, the original, the 4.5K, and then whatever the Ursa Mini Pro, is it 4.5K, the Pro one? They're all really, really good cameras. And one thing that popped up in some of the comments, some of the videos that I've been posting, someone made a comment about Blackmagic's highlight recovery. And this is how I feel about Blackmagic highlight recovery, that little checkbox that we see in Resolve. And it's only on Blackmagic and DNG files, I believe, that were captured in Blackmagic cameras. That is true Blackmagic. How they're able to recover a stop and a half of highlight information. I wish other camera manufacturers could do that. Red can't do it. Canon can't do it. Ari can't do it. So how Blackmagic does it, I have no idea. But that is dope. And that is one of the things that I've always really enjoyed about the Blackmagic cameras. Let's see. Make sure they don't feel me. So, okay. Slice Imaging, love your honesty. This is why I follow you. Hey, thanks, man. Really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. Every single one of you actually means a lot to me. I was thinking on that note, like the channel has grown and is growing like really at a faster pace than it's ever grown before. Like I think last week we added 370 new subscribers to the channel, which is kind of crazy for me and what it is that I put out. That's why I'm trying to be a lot more consistent, be more considerate of you all, be more respectful of you all who did sign up. So I really, really appreciate that. But I'm at the point now where if we took all of the subscribers for this channel, we can start to fill up an arena. You know, a small market arena, a Fargo arena. I'm just going to say that. Like, there are more people following this channel than what we could fit into the NDSU Bison football Fargo Dome where they play their football games. And in case you guys don't know who the NDSU Bison team is, you might want to Google it if you like football and if you like college football at that, because these guys have won something like 6 or 7 championships with only one gap in between the whole group of championships. They dominate in the college arena and they send a lot of people into pro sports. So that just blows my mind that we could fit like everybody. Actually, we couldn't fit everyone that follows this channel into the Fargo Dome. So again, thank you, every single one of you guys. Really appreciate it. So still works. Sounds great. Actually, the audio, awesome. Shazam, awesome. That's good. Tyler R6 has my attention. So I'm actually, initially, I was thinking, and Tyler, you're going to appreciate what I'm about to say, but I was thinking about picking up the R5 and then the 1DX Mark III. And now I'm thinking the smarter decision is the R5 and the R6, because I'm replacing both of my Canon EOS Rs with an R5 and something. So I think that the right decision for me and for what it is that we do here at Media IQ is to pick up one of each and save some cash. Don't get me wrong, the 1DX Mark III is a beast of a camera, but for what it is that we do, like when we're doing, say, a real estate shoot that literally I hand Johnny a camera and he knocks it out, I think that the R6 would be ideal for that for him. So that's kind of what I'm thinking there. Also, James is answering that question that I had about why no one is showing any actual images. And this makes sense. If they're under an NDA of some sort, this makes a lot of sense. And why it is that we're seeing all about the bodies, but we're not seeing any results, I guess. So totally makes sense. I'd prefer your honest judgment anyway. Tom, thanks for that. Appreciate it. Should be a Canon ambassador, Carlos. I don't, honestly, I don't think they'd want someone like me, right? Because I don't shoot exclusively on anything. Like, I am, I'm kind of like a mercenary in the camera world. If the right camera is the red Komodo, I'm going to go with the red Komodo. Is the red Komodo a camera that I like today? No. But if it's the right camera for the job, I'm gonna use it. I'm gonna pick it up. And I feel the same way about every other brand, including ones that I've purchased, right? Which is why I own a red 8K helium camera, and my A cam is the C500 Mark II. So I think that diversity of me and which cameras I use, when I use and why I use them, and how I use them, and how I talk about them, is the reason why I don't think I could ever be a Canon ambassador. I think it'd be cool to get my hands on product, before it's released and stuff, but I don't think Canon would want someone like me as an ambassador, and that's just the truth. I don't think I could hang or put all of my eggs into any one basket, because diversification is what's allowed this company to grow. So there you go. Was asking for sample footage, and so, okay. So yeah, James is just confirming that again. I had a call coming in, so it's probably Bert asking me where am I and what am I going to want for dinner. Hopefully that's what she was going to ask. I know that sounds chauvinistic, but I can't cook, and that's just the truth. So there you go. Marty McFly, hey, with the Ninja 5, can I shoot the downsampled 8K to 4K externally? So my guess is if the camera's HDMI out allows it to output in 4K, the answer would be yes. You can, essentially you're taking the 8K reading and then pushing out a 4K signal for the Ninja V to then pick up. So that's my guess, but I don't have the camera yet. So once I do, I'll be able to answer that question for sure. Okay, so Tyler, I've never used 4K to reframe to HD. It's kind of, yeah, I don't think anyone has ever reframed, which is interesting. It'd be an excellent opportunity for very small production like live music capture though. Okay, I'm not sure that I follow you, and it's likely because I'm producing my own show. James Jackson has never used reframing either. There's a trend, right? It's so interesting. We reframe sometimes. Helium 8K owner here. So that's awesome. So Dork Productions, do you reframe then on purpose, or do you reframe when you're setting up the shot, you already know you're going to reframe in post-production? I guess that would be my question. I used to reframe to save production time when I have a large day shoot. So for me, the larger the production, the larger my crew, which then means, and again, this is one of those things where like we do so little run and gun. Like our idea of run and gun is we had everything planned, and let's say that it was going to be an outdoor shoot, and we got a thunderstorm that day or that morning or during that time slot, and we had to move it indoors. That's what our run and gun is. We knew everything that we were going to do, and we now physically have to do it in a different location and match light ratios. That's run and gun for us. So I can see, like if you're doing, multiple camera live productions and your delivery is going to be in HD, and you don't have a way of manning the multiple cameras, I suppose that would affect my decision to reframe or not. So I get it. I think I get it. if that's what you meant, James. That was someone else that asked about the music. Got it. So sorry that I got that confused. If you film your own band and have the camera on a tripod, reframing and panning post is a great thing. So I don't know if you guys are as, maybe I'm going to call myself a snob about it, okay? But when there are digital zooms or pans, I can always tell. And it doesn't, like, I don't like them. That's the truth. I just don't like them. So when I see them on a production or on a YouTube video, I wonder why. Like, I would rather have a series of jump cuts instead of a fake dolly or zoom, for that matter. And that's just my preference, and that's why I call myself a snob. So sorry for what that's worth. Joe Law, totally feel your client change. Have booked work this week, only to be told push back to pre-production and scripting. It's really interesting because this whole rescheduling thing, I feel like it's gotten worse since the whole age of COVID. And it doesn't matter that contracts are signed or that locations are signed. Like, yeah, it's turned into an extra task. And fortunately, I don't do that. Bert does. Because if I had to juggle that too, I likely would go nuts. Okay, so as soon as there's a dedicated operator, you should not need to reframe, of course. Got it, Tom. Anti-Gravity Portugal. Hi from Portugal. Love your content. Many thanks. Hey, thank you, man. Thanks for saying that. Appreciate it. And hello to Portugal. This is great. I've only been to Portugal once, and it was like on my way to Chile for a project. So I didn't get a chance to like actually enjoy or, sightsee. I really need to get back to South America. Black magic, LOL. It's black magic. It is black magic. Shazam is likely talking about me saying that highlight recovery is black magic. It genuinely is, because nobody else can do that. Thank you, Tyler, for the congrats. I should totally get the 1DX Mark III. I should probably buy it from you if I do get it, if you are willing on selling it. And by the way, if anybody's interested in the 1DX Mark III, maybe you could persuade Tyler to sell his. Just saying, for what it's worth. Jared Poling has downloadable RAW images taken from the EOS R5. JT Studios, if you happen to have the link and you want to drop it in the chat, that'd be awesome. That way we could all, take a look. So I appreciate it. Maddie, the YouTuber, released some footage from the R5, but the video is only in 4K. Yeah, that's kind of what I meant. It's interesting. And also Maddie, I think didn't he have the pre-production? I don't know. I don't know if he had oh, no, he didn't. It was Peter McKinnon that had the one with that was pre-production. So maybe Maddie has the actual production one. I don't know. JT Studios, just check his latest video on the R5. Okay, will do. You're the reason I've started shooting on the Canon EOS R. That's awesome. So Canon EOS R is a beast of a camera. I seriously, and I don't know if I've shown this BTS footage before or not, but I literally use, like if I have a 3-camera setup, so maybe a 2-person talking head interview piece, dialogue piece, I will use 85mm lenses on Canon EOS R5s, Rs, and do the 1-person shot on each of those, and they will match perfectly to my Canon C500 Mark II. So 2 Canon EOS Rs and C500 Mark II have done a lot of work for me, and it just looks great. It just works. So that's awesome. Congrats, man. Alexander, hello and thanks for joining. EID projects, what's all good? Hopefully I can get my R5 in time for this production that I have going on. Check Shane Hurlbut's Illumination Experience Workshop. It's my film school. So Shane Hurlbut, everything that he talks about it's just like he drops so much knowledge. And it doesn't really matter at what stage of your career you're in, because he goes from talking about leadership to actually getting in there and doing things or testing or why he made some choices and the aesthetics of the project and everything else. If you guys can, right, because it's not cheap and it's not free, but if you can be or join the Shane Hurlbut Academy, he has a ton of content that is worth absorbing, seeking, learning, investing in yourself, because it will help you when you're on set as to how it is that you make decisions. So I totally agree. Let's see. So I asked Dork Productions if he, in fact, when he was setting up the shot, planned on reframing, and this is his answer. They do not plan on reframing. It's something that happens, I guess, on an as-needed basis, which then goes back to the whole, no one shoots in 8K with the idea of reframing for 4K delivery or any other delivery for that matter. And I think that that's a very good point. Do you think recording externally on the R5 could help mitigate the temperature rise on the camera? My guess is yes. I also think that if you don't need the in-body image stabilization, you're going to be able to reduce some heat. The other thing that I've noticed, and I'm not sure why no one's talked about it unless it's irrelevant, they talk about overheating in, what is it? Is it 30 frames per second or 60 frames per second? But how about 24 or 23.976, which is what I use when I'm going to deliver for broadcast? If the overheating, which again, I don't know what it is at this point, I'm not really all that concerned because I plan my shots, but if the overheating doesn't happen, as long as you're not at 60 frames per second or 120 frames per second in 4K, then I don't really know, at least for me and the types of productions that I do, I guess I'll find out, but I don't know that it will be an issue. So that's interesting and something that I just have to test when I actually get my hands on it. Okay, let's see. Walden, do you think that overheating issue will affect the price? My guess is no. I think Canon set the price at a very fair level for what it is. I think if you want something that is going to work until the battery dies, you should buy, and people, everyone, me included, should buy the 1DX Mark III. Because clearly, for that form factor, that camera can deliver, as long as you can afford the media, it can deliver RAW, or it can deliver, 60 frames per second in whatever resolution you want without any challenges. So I think that that's kind of where we're at. Cool. Thanks for answering that question there, James. Appreciate it. I edit projects. Me too. Okay. Weird. I hate several jump cuts in a row. So I don't disagree with Dork Productions about several jump cuts in a row, but I personally don't like digital panning. So then there is that. Haven't read anything about it. Great to know. Cool. You guys talking to each other. Portugal is in South America. You're right, David. And that was my bad because I was thinking of, I'm just stupid today. Yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. Portugal's in Europe. There we go. Yes, you're right. It's by Spain. I have been to Portugal. Oh my. I appreciate your content as well. Awesome. Thank you, Steelworks. Let's see. Armando managed to get his hands on production one for a little bit. Lucky. I did see that, and I hope he puts out a lot more content because, of course, I wish I could go down there and collaborate with him, but I have been working, so I got to pay the bills. It sucks. I'm curious if the R5, when recording 4K in lower quality mode, has aliasing or really low quality. Have you seen any clips yet? No. And that's the thing. It's like there are so few clips out there and available that it just makes me want to get my hands on the camera so I can actually, try it out. Friend got an R5 production model. What's his name? Armando. Armando got a production version of the R5. He's put out a couple of videos on it. I think the last one was unboxing, and I don't know how many more he has planned or is in the process of producing, because sometimes I get surprised just like you guys, and I like to not bug him all the time because I'm sure everybody wants to know, just like I do, all of what's going on. Robert, thanks, man. Really appreciate the comment. Aloha from Norway. That's awesome. Another Norway person. This is really cool. I don't know if you guys have seen or not, but if you watch my videos with any regularity, you likely saw I wore this camouflage sweatshirt, and it had a picture of a bison, and it had this word hoofed on it. My wife owns that apparel brand, and it's inspired by Norway because she comes from a Norwegian heritage, and one of her pieces of art, so all of the art that shows up on her apparel is hand-drawn art, and one of the pieces of art is a Norwegian fjord horse, and I got to actually meet Norwegian fjord horses for the first time last year, and they are stocky, strong, beautiful animals. So like, they are the most gentle-hearted horses I've ever been around, and it was just really a lot of fun. And I'm only bringing this up because we now have 2 people that have joined this live stream from Norway, so that's awesome. Yep, so David Armando is the person who got it, absolutely. Lower frame rate equals cooler. Hopefully that's true. I'm really hoping that that is true. Do you have the EOS R with an Atomos Ninja to match the C500, or where did you mean internal recording? So no, actually it depends on the project. If the project is going to be just delivered straight up to YouTube, then I record internally, so 8-bit. If the project that I'm capturing, or I'm using the EOS R as my B and C cams, is going to end up on broadcast, even if it is local broadcast or cable broadcast, I then will use Ninja 5s or Ninja Vs when I'm, capturing on those, and I'm going to match, because I need the higher quality. I need 10-bit in order for it to be broadcast ready. So that's the reasoning there. ACC to their specs. Okay. Mondo right on David. You guys are talking to each other. Andre, I'm doing great, man. Thanks for joining. Appreciate it. Let's see. Vlad, what about this whole oversampling 4K versus line skip pixel bin 4K? Do you think the difference between those 2 versions will be noticeable? I think it'll be noticeable if your shot has the possibility of moire. I think that at that point, artifacts are likely going to be more present. I think if your set is controlled and someone actually designed the set, then I I think it's going to be negligible, the difference. But I think if you're just out and about and, you know, you throw it on a drone and you're doing real estate and all of a sudden the shingles above, you know, the roofs and stuff start showing moire, or somebody's wearing a moire-ish shirt, or there's a brick pattern on a wall that you happen to want to go do that project, I think that's when some of those issues become problematic. The rest of the time, like solid backgrounds, solid shirts, I don't think that's an issue. But that's something that is worth testing, so we'll just have to check that out. Thoughts on the A7S III to complete and possibly exceed the quality of the EOS R5 for video? I just don't see it, right? Like, I've heard and have seen a lot of people praise Sony, the Sony A7 line, for years. I'm the guy that bought the original Sony A7, the original Sony A7S, the A7S II, and then later the A7 III. Every single time, I got more and more. I made sure that it wasn't my bias that made me not want to work with those cameras. In fact, the last time, which was the Sony A7 III, I bought the 50mm, the Prime, the G Master Prime, which is an expensive lens. I bought the 85mm G Master, also Prime, very expensive lens. And I bought the 24-70 G Master f2.8, which is another very expensive lens. And I bought the 35mm Prime, and I bought them all because I wanted to make sure that I gave the Sony A7 III all the possible benefits of the doubt with native lenses, nothing adapted, the full diving headfirst into the Sony ecosystem. I tried it on the first project. I was surprised, pleasantly surprised with it. I tried it on the second project, and then my surprise began to slowly transition into disappointment. By the time I had 6 or 7 projects under my belt using the Sony A7 III, I sold it all. So do I think that the Sony A7S III all of a sudden magically is going to fix all of the problems, some of them super fundamental problems, right? Like, I don't want green skin tones. I don't want magenta skin tones. I don't want somebody to tell me that it's got 13.5 stops of dynamic range and then have it fail at 9.5 stops. So do I think that they can fix it all? No. Do I think that they can exceed the quality that I can get out of Canon cameras? And the answer is no. And out of everyone that I know at this point that drank the Kool-Aid and went with Sony, other than the people who legitimately want to make the Sony ecosystem work, they've all transitioned away from Sony. Or they've stepped into their Sony Cinema line of cameras. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm not trying to be biased, but this is what I've seen. So, and also experience, which is even worse. Because if I had just seen it, then I could say, I can give it the benefit of the doubt. But when it actually happened to me on my project, I'm just not into it. So then there you go. Let's see. You don't talk about Panasonic S1H. Why? Because I haven't physically used it. So unless I can get my hands on one, work with it for, a month or two, I have to reserve my comments. I think it's awesome that they crammed all of what they did into that camera, including the fan. I think that that was a really good idea. I just don't have any experience with it, so I don't really have anything that I can say about it. And every time I thought about renting it for a project, it's always been not doable, because I take on a job and then I gotta, hang up my personal project that I wanted to go after. Let's see here. 4K 30 has no limit for sensor readout limits, just internal 8K downsampling 30 minutes. Okay. Vlad, greetings from Brazil. We speak Portuguese here. Thanks for joining me. Really appreciate it. Hello from Switzerland. Wow, this is pretty awesome. We got people from like literally around the globe at this point. Need to order some of Bert's merch. It's awesome. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. She'll appreciate it. We hope to see you in Vienna to shoot short film. Don't have to bring your cameras with. I have C300 Mark III and C200. Oh, that's awesome. I would love to go to Vienna. Next May, I'm actually working for 2.5 weeks in Spain. So how cool would it be if I could extend my trip by 10 days or so and just travel Europe? That would really be awesome. We'll see if the boss lets us get away with that. Let's see. I got it. Give me 1 second, guys. I have to respond to Bert. She's cute. She's asking me if I'm going to be home soon. That's how you know she loves you. I appreciate her. Of course I do. Jonathan, Tanzania, East Africa. That is awesome. See, we basically have every continent already identified here. This is so cool. Hello, Jonathan, and thanks for stopping by. Really appreciate it. And Danielle, Uruguay, right? Uruguay, I think is the right way to say it. What is the image difference between 4K and 720 HD? And to be honest, it's a bit different, but not that much. I'm at 27. That's the thing. It's like when we're delivering to the web, everything gets so compressed anyway. Like, why does it even matter? But the reason why I need to stream in 4K is because I have a client that is adamant, it's a political client, adamant about making sure that he has the highest quality for his, I'm going to leave it alone. It's politics. It's politics. So I'm glad that this is working out and it hasn't dropped. So they will be doing it from the studio, not my physical office, but the actual studio here next door. So that's awesome. Tyler, you're in South Carolina today, but soon in Colorado, right? Hopefully it's okay that I said that. I should have asked you. Sorry. Let's see. I'm interested in seeing how PQ works and the heating issues there. So am I, Frosty. Very, very interested. I'm excited about the camera, period. I'm not going to lie. Like, everything about it, I'm just really enjoying it. So I'm not sure what I said, but I must have said something that pissed somebody off because I got a thumbs down. I don't know. This is actually also pretty interesting. There are at least 2 people that choose to follow me to give me thumbs down. And I wish I knew who they were, because I would love to have like I want to know what pisses you off so much. I don't know if that makes any sense or not, but I genuinely just want to help people. Like, that's the reason why I'm doing it, right? So there you go. Andre, you pre-ordered the R5. That's awesome. So I think they start shipping on the 31st. So hopefully we all get ours and we can actually start putting it through its paces and figuring out where it actually will fit in our workflows. Super excited. Yeah, let's see here. Neil from Minnesota. Dude, thanks for joining. Appreciate it. Thanks for the content, helping me narrow things down. I have prime Canon EF glass, and then down to the C200 R5 Pocket 6K and 1DX Mark III. All right, so out of all of what you just said, and you already own Canon Cinema or Canon Primes, I'm guessing they're, did you say they're Cinema Primes or just, oh, EF Primes? Okay, good. I would say protect your investment in lenses and leverage dual pixel autofocus. And what that really means is C200, 1DX Mark III, or Canon EOS R5. Any other camera is not going to take advantage of the powerful dual pixel autofocus. So if I was making that choice, that would be number one thing on my mind, because these cameras, I mean, you guys are seeing it working on the Canon EOS R. I'm using dual pixel autofocus on this 24mm lens, and it's kept me, even as I'm, wobbling in my chair here. So consider that. That would be my choice. Let's see. How are you finding the Mac Pro? I got to tell you, since I got my Mac Pro, and when I go back, because I took my iMac Pro home, and that's now my home computer. When I find myself working on the iMac Pro, if I had hair, I would yank it out. I hate it. That's how much I'm enjoying the Mac Pro. It's expensive, but it is, at this point, worth every penny. Like, I could render Red Code RAW 8K or Canon RAW from my C500 Mark III, or Mark II, C500 Mark II, Canon RAW, like 2 or 3 times faster than I can on my iMac. So that alone makes it worth every penny to me. So I'm really, really enjoying it. Thoughts about the S1H? I really think I just need to rent that camera, use it for a month so that I could actually talk about it, because I don't have anything to gauge it against or say, because I just don't. I've never used it. I do think the Sony a7 III will do great in 4K. I think it will for a lot of people too, considering it might be able to do 240 frames per second. That's cool. Green skin tones were fixed with the R4. I guess. Cool. If they did, congrats to Sony. It's one of those, like, after you get burnt, how many times will you continue to go back and give them money? And I'm at the point where I don't want to give them money anymore. I'm cool not giving them money. So I guess I am biased. Then there you go. Daniela, very, very interesting content on Sony colors, for which I agree. I changed to Fuji colors, and I use both Canon and Fuji. Fujifilm cameras, there is nothing that I don't love about their colors, everything, the way that they just work. I just really enjoy shooting on Fuji cameras, but matching Fuji to my Canon Cinema cameras, or even my Red, is a bigger challenge than I'm willing on tackling. And that's the reason why I would rather use Canon EOS Rs over the Fujifilm cameras. But if it's just a standalone, my project, where I'm not going to be mixing other cameras, I'm totally happy with Fujifilm. Totally. 100%. Same, Carlos. Cool. Sony cameras, but they don't like the ergos. Yeah. Let's see. I was with Sony for a long time. Too little innovations, too slow. Now I shoot Red and Blackmagic. Yeah. Honestly, like, once you've shot on Red, it makes you appreciate other brands that much more, and then also it makes you like bias against other brands a lot faster. Like you don't forgive as easily once you see the quality that you can get out of like a Red or an Arri or a high-end cinema camera of any brand for that matter. Let's see. Would it make sense to compare the R5 with the Panasonic S1H? Maybe, but not immediately. But yeah, I think it would make sense. Why not? I do think Sony will have advantages for unlimited 4K recording, but Canon feels fundamentally complete. So, you know, again, I'm one of those people that just does not allow the camera to run. The only time the camera is just constantly running is when you guys are seeing what you're seeing right here, right now. The rest of the time, it's a take and a cut and an action and a take and a cut. It's just, that's the way I shoot. So the whole idea of just letting it run thing, in my head, it doesn't even work. But I can understand and appreciate your comment. Okay, let's see. Do you think that we get lucky and Canon give us 1080 10-bit internal update for C200? No. So this is going to sound really horrible, but I think for the C200, what we have today is what we're going to get, and I don't see Canon giving us more at all. I think the C200 has officially replaced the C100 line. Like we will never see another C100 camera. I think the C200 is what it is. And now that is their entry point into cinema. And what is there is all that we're going to get. And that sucks, but it really shapes out to be that way, I think. Yeah, good point. HDMI out. Gerson, what's up? Thanks for joining, man. Appreciate it. And let's see here. I enjoy your honest comments and engagement with everyone. Thanks, Frosty. Really appreciate that, of course. C300 Mark III is amazing. I don't doubt it. I think that that camera is a beast of a camera. I have two C500 Mark IIs and not buying another camera for a while. Same here. I also have two C500 Mark IIs, and as awesome as the C300 Mark III is, it will not be joining my camera lineup, at least not in 2020. And I'm going to give myself the benefit of maybe picking it up in 2021, but we don't know. Dual gain output sensor giving great image out of the box. I bet it is. I want to see more footage. Just like, yeah, there you go, Tyler. I want to see more footage. The more, the better. And I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's a girlfriend or if it's a doll or your pets. I just want to see more footage. Oh, cool. So yeah, dual pixel autofocus rocks. 5D Mark IV is still a great camera to this day. And I know some people don't like the motion JPEG, capture for C-Log. I never cared about it and never minded. It worked just fine on my computer. Do you think it's worth upgrade from S1? Panasonic autofocus. Panasonic autofocus is never going to be as good as Canon autofocus or as Sony autofocus. So if autofocus is important, yes, abandon Panasonic would be my advice. I think David's agreeing to something I said earlier about not getting anything new on the C200. Greetings from Brazil. Thanks for joining, man. Appreciate it. Frosty, I've been digging deep into Red software controls as well as specialized SDK controls. This has been very rewarding, but a lot of serious work on the monstro and not for the faint of heart. So I feel like at this point, this is going to sound a little harsh, but take it from a Canon owner, anyone out there who is considering Red. If you are considering Red as a camera ecosystem that you want to jump into, your first choice should be Monstro. And your second choice should be Monstro. And if you have to stretch your budget to be able to hit choice 1 or 2, understand that your choice really should be Monstro. And I don't say that lightly. The Monstro sensor is phenomenal. And if I could get into a Monstro sensor and not lose my ass off on my helium, I would do it in a heartbeat. And that's the truth. From someone who owns helium, not Monstro. Carlos, sorry I joined late. I have to wait until start the beginning. I shoot mostly video and not stills. I'm still on the fence whether or not to get the R5. I would say wait till the launch date so that everyone can begin to share their experiences before you pull the trigger. I don't anticipate that they're going to be heavily backlogged. But if all of the retailers are backlogged, know and understand that you can buy direct from Canon. It's in their Canon store. So that might be a faster way to get your hands on a camera if, in fact, everybody goes into, a backlog of some sort. They're also going to be selling those cameras at like Best Buy. So consider that, for what it's worth. Do you think there will be no, I know for a fact that the C100 line is done. It's done. C200 officially replaced it. Could you please share an idea with the camera? Is it good starting for shooting nature videos? I'm more into photography. If you're more into photography and you want to do nature videos, then I would say a hybrid camera is probably the best option. EOS R is a terrific option. The 5D Mark IV, if you're into DSLR, is a terrific option because of the weather shielding. The 1DX line, the Mark II or Mark III, terrific options. And they give you both, all of those cameras give you both stills and video that is really high quality. So those would be where I would start. What do I think about Ursa Pro 12K? I think that's a big subject for me. The short answer is it's not for me. That's the short answer. I'm not ready for a 100% resolve workflow at this point in what we do with the types of projects that we do. Working with 12K, even though I saw them do that demo, I can tell you that on my Mac Pro, which is the way that it's kitted out with what I have in it, it's about a $26,000, $27,000 computer. Once I began grading, applying effects to their 12K sample footage, I made my computer struggle. So it's not for me. And I think I need to just leave it there until I actually have more hands-on experience beyond what I do. Because I don't want to put my foot in my mouth and end up buying a camera and I just said, oh yeah, it's not for me. It's not for me today. Maybe if they allowed it to record in ProRes, then maybe it becomes much more interesting to me. But if I have to record only in B-RAW and do that whole just B-RAW workflow, it's not for me. And I guess that means I'm not, as Blackmagic put it, a high-end DP, which I thought that was kind of funny because I think a lot of us, a lot of people that follow this channel, me included, we've worked on multi-million-dollar projects before. So I don't know what these high-end DPs are unless they're talking about just straight up feature film DPs, and then I don't see them jumping from, say, an Alexa or Alexa LF or Alexa 65 and saying, oh, I don't want to work with Alexas anymore. I'm only going to work with Blackmagic cameras. And to my knowledge, that's what they're used to working with. So there you go. My 2 cents for what it's worth. Do you think the Canon R5 has the necessary requirements to be a camera for Netflix? Do I think that it's capable of delivering Netflix content? Yes. Do I think that it will be Netflix certified? No. How long until Canon makes an RF mount cinema camera? I'm guessing, my take on that is no one is asking for it in the pro world, right? And they want to sell lenses. So once they feel like they have their lens lineup where it should be, I think that that is when we can expect more cameras to have the RF mount. I think before then, they're just not going to do it, right? Because Canon makes cameras, and this is, I've said this from the early days of my channel. Canon makes cameras to sell lenses. They don't make lenses to fit their cameras. They make way more money on lenses than they do on cameras. As an example, in this office right now, I have 4 cameras. But in this office right now, I have 36 lenses. Do you see? So, and I'm just one person. So look at yourself and how many lenses you have in your collection versus your camera bodies, and it's not going to be a 1-to-1 ratio. So I think that that's really what the holdup is. They're waiting for their RF lenses to become more mature before they actually just say, here's a cinema camera that now can take advantage of RF lenses. Because I am a firm believer, which I, by the way, love the fact that they have those adapters with the variable ND. I can use my Canon CNE primes on the EOS R and have a built-in ND filter. I don't need a matte box. So it shrinks the size of my footprint, right? And I feel like when they released those, they released them to sell camera bodies, but they knew that we were all going to end up building our RF lens collection. So I think that that's kind of what's in the works there. All right, guys, so it is, I don't know how long we've been on here, but it looks like, oh, we've been on here for over an hour. This is gone way out of hand. I'm going to actually schedule the next live stream. I want to thank everybody for participating, for taking the time to join me, for doing this crazy thing, asking questions, contributing, talking to each other, just being part of this community. You guys are the reason why I keep uploading. And I hope you all know that. So on that note, have a good evening or good rest of your day if you're in a different part of the world. Thank you everyone for joining. And we'll do this again, you know, now on a more regular basis now that I got this sorted. And again, thanks for joining. Until next time, I'm Carlos. Take care. See you guys.